I would urge the Nigerian government to take a look at pardoning Sunday Jackson, who is an individual who was fighting for his own life, defending his life against one of these Fulani militants. That Fulani militant lost his life in that struggle, and now that person, Sunday Jackson, is facing the death penalty. Now, where's the justice in that?
Adamawa State Governor Amadu Umaru Fintiri has officially released Sunday Jackson. If you have not heard of Sunday Jackson, his case in the court is one of the most controversial and the most talked about case, a case that has attracted both international and local discourse. This is a man who defended himself against the attacker. The herdsmen, they came to his farm, attacked him, and he, at the end of the day, overpowered them. What happened was that he took the herdsman out. He was arrested and jailed. At the end of the day, he was sentenced to life imprisonment or death sentence. He was sentenced to death, to be condemned. Someone that was able to fight the attacker and won. But he filed a case that he was trying to defend himself. At the end of the day, he overpowered them. Though he filed a case of self-defense in the court, but at the end of the day, it was thrown out, saying that he murdered an herdsman. He was sentenced to life or to death. He was sentenced to death. Fintiri of Adamawa State has released a man that was sentenced to death. The man who fought with herdsman and was arrested, that he was trying to defend himself. At the end of the day, they threw that fight out, saying that that reason is not enough to take an herdsman life. But they forgot that they were just the attacker. Herdsmen has no farm in their farmland. They have no house in their farmland. They have no property in their farmland. But they came from nowhere like a stranger and intruded the farmland and they attacked him. But thank God for him, he was able to overpower him. But at the end of the day, the court in Adamawa State sentenced him to death. But the turn of this new now is that he has been released. Sunday Jackson has been released by governor of Adamawa State, but the fight is not stopping there, because while the release of Sunday Jackson sparked jubilation from his party or from his family and friend, but it sparked another chaotic moment from the camp of the enemy, so to say. Sheikh Gumi is not happy that Sunday Jackson is being released for killing an herdsman that attacked him, that wanted to take his life. Had it been, this man took Sunday Jackson's life that day, by now we would have forgotten about him. Just like the way we have forgotten about 200 people plus that were killed in Benue, people that were kidnapped and killed in Adamawa State, in Katsina, in Kano, in Kaduna, in Sokoto. He would have been one of them, one of the victims. But he was able to fight and gain his ground. But the court in Nigeria sentenced this man to death. Not sentenced to life prison, not sentenced to death by hanging. But thank God for Governor Fintiri, who, in the spirit of its Christmas celebration, released him and 5 other people. But releasing him is not what we are talking about today, arguing that the man should be sentenced to death or to death by hanging, as Gumi insisted.
This is the news update that is changing the conversation on justice, religion, and international pressure in Nigeria right now. The headline you saw is not just a local story. It is an international diplomatic incident that has culminated in a shocking decision by the Adamawa State government. Governor Amadu Fintiri has just done the unthinkable in the eyes of some and the long-awaited miracle in the eyes of others. He has signed the pardon for Sunday Jackson, the man who was sentenced to death for killing a herdsman. This decision, announced just yesterday, December 23, 2025, has sent shockwaves through the north, and reports are flying that figures like Sheikh Gumi are less than pleased with this turn of events. We need to break down exactly who Sunday Jackson is and why his release is such a massive deal. For over 10 years, this man has been the face of a bitter legal battle. In 2015, on his farm in Demsa local government area, a confrontation broke out. Jackson, a Christian farmer, was accused of killing a herdsman, Buba Ardu Bawuro. The court convicted him of culpable homicide and sentenced him to death by hanging. The Supreme Court even upheld that decision earlier this year. But Jackson's story has always been one of self-defense. He claimed he was attacked on his own land, stabbed multiple times, and only fought back to save his life. For years, he sat in Kuje prison waiting for the hangman, while his supporters cried out that this was a miscarriage of justice. But why the sudden pardon now? Why, after the Supreme Court sealed his fate, did Governor Fintiri suddenly unlock the prison gates? The answer lies in Washington, D.C., and specifically with the new administration of President Donald Trump. We are seeing what we can call the Trump effect in real time. Just weeks ago, U.S. Congressman Riley Moore went on international television and practically demanded Jackson's release. He cited religious persecution, he cited the right to self-defense, and he warned that the U.S. was watching. This wasn't just a suggestion, it was immense diplomatic pressure. And with President Trump's recent threats regarding security and religious violence in Nigeria, it seems Governor Fintiri read the handwriting on the wall. He granted this pardon in the spirit of Christmas and New Year, but we all know it was also in the spirit of avoiding a diplomatic clash with the United States. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the anger mentioned in the headline. Why would Sheikh Gumi be upset? For years, Sheikh Gumi has been the loudest voice advocating for the rights of herdsmen and bandits, arguing that they are marginalized and victims of a biased system. He has campaigned for amnesty for bandits who kill and kidnap, claiming they are fighting a war for their survival. To see a man who killed a herdsman, one of the very people Gumi claims to protect, walk free while his boys in the bush are being bombarded by airstrikes disrupts his entire narrative. It reinforces the fear in some northern circles that the government is bowing to foreign Christian agenda pressure. While Sheikh Gumi has recently said he would support amnesty for Nnamdi Kanu if he showed remorse, the unilateral release of Jackson without a corresponding deal for herdsmen is seen by his camp as a slap in the face. It shifts the balance. It says that if you have American backing, you can escape the noose. The timing is also critical. This pardon comes just as the US started surveillance flights over Nigeria, another major sovereignty issue we discussed recently. It feels like a coordinated effort. First, the threats from Trump, then the surveillance jets, and now the release of a high-profile Christian prisoner on death row. It is a sequence of events that proves Abuja and the state governors are jittery. They are trying to clean up their human rights records before the hammer falls. But for the family of Sunday Jackson, this is nothing short of a miracle. This is a man who has never seen his 10-year-old daughter because she was born after he was arrested. He has spent a decade in the shadow of death. Yesterday, he walked out of Kuje Correctional Center a free man. Can you imagine the scenes at his home? The tears, the relief. It is a human story of survival against the odds. But it is also a political story of how justice in Nigeria often moves only when a bigger power pushes it. I want to ask you a serious question, and I want you to be honest in the comments. Do you think Governor Fintiri did the right thing by pardoning Sunday Jackson, or was this a surrender to American pressure? Is it justice or just politics? Let us know what you think. And please, if you are getting value from this breakdown, smash that like button right now. It helps us get this news to more Nigerians. And if you are not subscribed, click that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next update. This pardon also sets a massive precedent. There are hundreds of other cases like this. Will we see more governors using their prerogative of mercy to release inmates who have international support? And how will the herdsmen groups react? Will they see this as an injustice against their member who was killed? These are the dangerous ripples that this decision creates. The governor has solved one problem with Washington, but might have created another at home with local groups. As we wrap up, remember that Sunday Jackson is free, but the debate is just beginning. The US Congressman Riley Moore has already released a statement praising the decision, saying Sunday Jackson is free. He is taking a victory lap, but here in Nigeria, the conversation is shifting to sovereignty. Are we dictating our own justice, or is it being dictated to us? We will keep tracking the reactions from the Northern elders and the advocacy groups. This story is far from over.
I would urge the Nigerian government to take a look at pardoning Sunday Jackson, who is an individual who was fighting for his own life, defending his life against one of these Fulani militants. That Fulani militant lost his life in that struggle, and now that person, Sunday Jackson, is facing the death penalty. Now, where's the justice in that?
The unexpected has happened, and what many felt was impossible has now been made possible by the Adamawa State Governor Ahmed Umar Fintiri. On the 23rd of December 2025, the governor did a shocking thing by giving a pardon to Sunday Jackson, who was sentenced to death months back for killing a herdsman on his farm in what he claimed was self-defense. Before we continue with this explosive story, don't forget to subscribe our channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any update. Drop your comment below and let us know what you think about this development. Let me take you back to how this whole issue started. Sunday Jackson was on his farm, working hard and cultivating his crops, when a group of Fulani herdsmen entered his farmland with their cattle. The cattle began to destroy everything he had planted, eating his crops and trampling on his hard work. Sunday Jackson, being a peaceful man, politely asked the herdsmen to take their cow and leave his farm. But the herdsmen refused. What made the situation even more dangerous was the herdsman was armed with a cutlass, while Sunday was completely unarmed and defenseless. The herdsman refused to leave Sunday's farm even after he begged them. A fight erupted between Sunday Jackson and Fulani herdsmen. During the violent confrontation, the Fulani man stabbed Sunday 3 times with his cutlass. Sunday was bleeding and fighting for his life. In a desperate attempt to survive, Sunday was able to swiftly swing into action. He managed to disarm the Fulani herdsman and took the cutlass from him. In the heat of the moment, and to save his own life, Sunday immediately stabbed the Fulani man on his throat. The Fulani man died immediately from the injury. After the incident, Sunday Jackson went home thinking he had defended himself from an attacker who nearly killed him. But what happened then shocked him and his entire community. Sunday was arrested by the police and charged to court for murder. Despite explaining that he was defending himself on his own farm, despite showing the court his own stab wounds from herdsmen attack, and despite the fact that the herdsmen had invaded his property with cattle and attacked him first, the court found Sunday Jackson guilty. He was sentenced to death by hanging. When the judgment was announced, many Nigerians were absolutely shocked and outraged. The Christian community in particular could not believe what they were hearing. How can someone who was attacked on his own farm, stabbed 3 times, and was simply trying to defend his life, be sentenced to death? It didn't make any sense to most responsible people. The Christian community and concerned individuals across Nigeria raised serious alarm about this miscarriage of justice. They said the judgment was unfair, unjust, and showed bias against Christians who were defending themselves against Fulani herdsmen attack. Human rights organizations began to take interest in Sunday Jackson's case. They investigated the circumstances and found that Sunday was clearly acting in self-defense. They said sentencing him to death was wrong and violated his basic human rights. The case gained so much attention that international bodies picked interest in the issue. News about Sunday Jackson's death sentence began to spread beyond Nigeria to the international community. People around the world were asking how a farmer could be sentenced to death for defending himself on his own land. The pressure kept mounting. Nigerian Christians organized protests and prayer vigil calling for Sunday release. Online campaigns with hashtags like Free Sunday Jackson and Justice for Sunday Jackson went viral on social media. Thousands of people signed petitions demanding that the government of Adamawa State intervene. The most significant pressure came from the United States. President Donald Trump, who had earlier threatened to take military action against groups killing Christians in Nigeria, began to mount serious pressure on Governor Fintiri to pardon Sunday Jackson. Trump and his administration made it clear that they were watching this case very closely. They said Sunday Jackson's death sentence was an example of the injustice that Christians face in Nigeria. American religious groups, human rights organizations, and Nigerian diaspora communities in the US also pressured their governments to intervene. The message to Governor Fintiri was clear. The world is watching, and this injustice must become corrected. After months of pressure from local community, national organizations, international body, and United States government, Governor Ahmadu Fintiri finally made a decision that shocked many people. On the 23rd of December 2025, just 2 days before Christmas, Governor Fintiri announced that he has granted a pardon to Sunday Jackson. A death sentence was overturned and Sunday was immediately released from prison. But Sunday Jackson wasn't the only one who benefited from governor's mercy. Fintiri also pardoned several other inmates who were in maximum security prison, giving them a second chance at life. The news of Sunday Jackson release spread like wildfire across Nigeria. Christians everywhere celebrated and praised God for answering their prayer. Family rejoiced that justice has finally been served. Sunday Jackson returned home to his community where he was received with tears of joy, singing and thanksgiving. Many Nigerians applauded Governor Fintiri for having the courage to do the right thing despite the possible blackout he might face from setting go. They said the governor showed that he values justice, fairness, and the protection of innocent citizens regardless of their religion. However, not everyone was happy about Sunday Jackson's release. With this news of his freedom, people like Sheikh Gumi, who believe that bandits and herdsmen shouldn't be killed, but rather the government should negotiate with them, are now feeling very bad and angry that the governor has overturned the court judgment. As we all know Sheikh Gumi very well, he has been campaigning consistently against the killing of Fulani herdsmen and bandits. He has repeatedly called them our brothers, and he sees that the government shouldn't harm them, even though they were actively killing innocent people, kidnapping for ransom, destroying farms, and terrorizing the entire community across Nigeria. Gumi has always argued that the government should sit down and negotiate with bandits instead of fighting them. He has visited bandits in their forest hideouts, held meetings with them, and advocated for amnesty programs similar to what was done for Niger Delta militants. But many Nigerians have criticized Sheikh Gumi's position. They ask why he shows so much sympathy for criminals who are killing, raping, and kidnapping innocent citizens, but never shows the same sympathy for the victim of this attack. They wonder why he never visited Christian communities that have been destroyed by herdsmen or families whose loved ones have been killed by bandits. When Fulani herdsmen invade people's farm, destroy their crops, attack them, and even kill them, Sheikh Gumi said we should not retaliate, but we should negotiate. He said they are our brothers and we must show them mercy. But when someone like Sunday Jackson defends himself from an armed attackers on his own farm and survive, Sheikh Gumi and another one the person executed. Where is the fairness in this? The truth is simple. Every Nigerian has the right to defend themselves when attacked. If someone invades your property with weapons and tries to kill you, you have every right to fight back and protect your life. This is not murder, this is self-defense, and it is recognized by law in every civilized society. Sunday Jackson did not go looking for trouble. He was peacefully working on his own farm when armed herdsmen invaded his land. He asked them politely to leave. They refused and attacked him with cutlass, stabbing him 3 times. Only after being stabbed repeatedly did Sunday fight back to save his own life. If Sheikh Gumi truly believes in justice and fairness, he should be celebrating that an innocent man has been freed from death row. But instead, he is angry because the victim happened to defend himself against Fulani attacker. This kind of thing is exactly why the security situation in Nigeria has gotten so bad. When criminals know that the religious and traditional leaders will always defend them and blame their victim, they become more empowered to commit even more atrocities. The fight against bandits and terrorists in Nigeria is now intensifying, and the effort of people like Governor Fintiri should be applauded by all Nigerians who want peace and security. Governor Fintiri's decision to pardon Sunday Jackson sent a powerful message. Governors and leaders must stand with innocent citizens who are defending themselves, not with criminals who are attacking them. This is the kind of leadership Nigeria needs right now. Leaders who will protect farmers on their farmland, leaders who will defend Christians and other minorities who are being targeted for their faith, leaders who understand that showing mercy to criminals while punishing their victims is not justice, it is wickedness. Under the leadership of General C.G. Musa as Minister of Defense, the Nigerian military has been recording impressive victories against bandits and terrorists across the country. Scores of criminals have been neutralized, kidnapped victims have been rescued, terrorist camps have been destroyed, but military action alone is not enough. Governors, judges, traditional rulers, and religious leaders must also do their part by standing firmly on the side of justice. They must stop making excuses for criminals and start protecting innocent citizens. Sunday Jackson pardon is not just about one man being free from prison. It represents a potential turning point in how Nigeria deals with crises of banditry, terrorism, and the persecution of Christian and other vulnerable groups. For too long, victims of herdsmen attack have been treated like criminals when they try to defend themselves. Farmers have been afraid to protect their own land because they know the justice system will punish them instead of their attacker. But Governor Fintiri's courageous decision showed that things can be changed. When leaders have the moral courage to stand up for what it is right, even in the face of criticism and pressure, justice can prevail. They should encourage other governors and leaders across Nigeria to follow suit. They should review cases where innocent people have been unjustly imprisoned for defending themselves. They should stop treating self-defense as if it were murder. They should make it clear that every Nigerian has the right to protect their life, their family, and their property. The message must go out loud and clear to bandits, herdsmen, and terrorists. If you attack innocent people, you will face the consequence. And if your victim defends themselves and you get hurt or get killed in the process, don't expect the government to punish your victim on your behalf. As we celebrate Sunday Jackson freedom, we must also reflect on the thousands of other Nigerians who are still suffering from the terrorism and banditry that people like Sheikh Gumi continue to make excuses for. How many more farmers must lose their life defending their land? How many more Christians must be killed before their deaths are taken serious? How many more communities must be destroyed before we stop negotiating with criminals and start protecting innocent citizens? Governor Fintiri has shown us what real leadership looks like. General CJ Musa has shown us what effective military leadership can accomplish. Now it is time for all other Nigerian leaders, governors, senators, traditional leaders, and yes, even religious leaders like Sheikh Gumi to decide